The rain came down in sheets, turning the cracked sidewalk into a river of regret. Tasha Reynolds sat on the curb at 2 a.m., her beautiful brown skin glistening with rainwater and tears, mascara running down her cheeks in dark streams. Her red dress, once vibrant and hopeful, now clung to her body like a second skin, soaked through and cold. She held an empty bottle in one hand, the other clutching her knees to her chest as she rocked back and forth. This was rock bottom. This was what happened when you loved the wrong person for too long. This was the moment when everything finally broke. "Derek, you ruined me," she whispered to the empty street, her words slurring together. "You took everything. My job. My friends. My dignity. Everything." The neighborhood around her was known for trouble. Broken streetlights flickered overhead, casting strange shadows on boarded-up buildings. Car alarms went off in the distance. A group of men stood on the corner 2 blocks down, their eyes occasionally drifting her way. She should have been scared. She should have gotten up and found somewhere safe. But what was the point anymore? 3 years. She'd given Derek Harrison 3 years of her life. 3 years of walking on eggshells, of making excuses for his temper, of believing his promises that he would change. 3 years of watching her confidence crumble piece by piece until she didn't recognize herself anymore. Tonight was supposed to be different. Tonight she'd finally found the courage to leave. She'd packed a bag, walked out of his apartment, and promised herself she'd never go back. But where was she supposed to go? Her mother lived 3 states away. Her best friend, the one person who'd tried to warn her about Derek, had stopped answering her calls months ago. She'd pushed everyone away because Derek said they didn't understand their love. Well, what a stupid word. What a lie she'd been living. So she'd walked. And walked. And when she'd passed a liquor store, she'd spent her last $30 on cheap vodka. And when her legs finally gave out, she'd sat down on this curb and drank until the pain got fuzzy around the edges. "You're pathetic, Tasha," she told herself, taking another swig from the bottle even though it was empty. Sitting in the rain like some character in a bad movie? Get up. Go somewhere. Do something. But her body wouldn't cooperate. Her legs felt like concrete. Her head spun. The rain kept falling and she kept sitting and the world kept turning without her. That's when she heard the car slow down. "No, no, no," she muttered. "Keep driving. Nothing to see here. Just a drunk girl having the worst night of her life." But the car stopped. The engine idled. A door opened. "Miss? Are you okay?" The voice was male, deep, concerned. Footsteps approached, confident even in the rain. Tasha's head snapped up, and through the blur of alcohol and tears, she saw a tall figure walking toward her. The rain made it hard to see clearly, but she could make out an expensive-looking coat, dress shoes that probably cost more than her rent. Her stomach dropped. Derek. It had to be Derek. He'd found her. He'd come to drag her back, to tell her she was nothing without him, to make her believe she deserved this misery. "Stay away from me," she slurred, scrambling to her feet. Her legs wobbled and she nearly fell, but pure adrenaline kept her upright. "I said stay away." "I just want to help," the man said, his hands raised in a peaceful gesture. "You shouldn't be out here alone. It's not safe." "You don't get to tell me what's safe anymore," Tasha screamed, her voice breaking. "You don't get to pretend you care. Just walk away, idiot. Walk away like you always do when things get hard." "Miss, I think you have me confused with someone else," the man said gently, taking another careful step forward. "My name is Griffin Montgomery. I was driving home when I saw you sitting here. I'm worried about you." But Tasha's mind was too clouded to process his words. All she could see was a man, a tall man in the rain, coming toward her when she'd said no. Just like Derek always did. Just like Derek never listened. "I hate you," she sobbed, stumbling backward. "I hate what you did to me. You took everything good about me and twisted it until I didn't know who I was anymore. Well, guess what? I'm done. You hear me? Done." Griffin stopped moving, his expression shifting from concern to understanding. This woman wasn't talking to him. She was talking to someone who'd hurt her badly. Someone who'd left scars he couldn't see but could definitely hear in every broken word. "Okay," he said softly. "I hear you. But I'm not him. I promise you I'm not whoever hurt you." "Liar," Tasha whispered, her anger draining away as quickly as it came. Suddenly she was just tired. So incredibly tired. Her legs gave out and she collapsed back onto the curb, her head in her hands. "Everyone's a liar. Everything's a lie." Griffin looked around. The neighborhood was getting worse by the minute. He could see those men from the corner starting to walk closer, drawn by the commotion. His car was still running, Door open, interior light glowing in the darkness. He had a daughter at home, a 6-year-old girl who needed him to be careful, to be smart, to not take unnecessary risks. But he also had a conscience. And that conscience wouldn't let him drive away from a woman clearly in crisis, sitting alone in the rain in a dangerous area at 2 in the morning. "Miss," he said, crouching down a few feet away from her, giving her space. "I know you don't know me. I know you have no reason to trust me. But I have a daughter at home. Her name is Lily. She's 6 years old. And if she ever found herself in a situation like this, I would pray that someone, anyone, would stop and make sure she got somewhere safe." Tasha lifted her head slightly, squinting at him through the rain. "A daughter?" "Yes. And a nanny who's probably wondering where I am. I was at a late meeting downtown. I'm just trying to get home." Griffin's voice was steady, calm, the kind of voice that didn't demand or threaten. "I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm just asking you to let me get you out of the rain. There's a diner about 10 minutes from here. It's open all night. I can drop you there, make sure you get some coffee, and then you never have to see me again. That's it. That's all I'm offering." "Why?" Tasha's voice was small now, childlike. "Why do you care?" Griffin thought about his late wife, Hannah. He thought about the car accident that took her 3 years ago. He thought about all the people who'd helped him in those dark months after her death. Neighbors who brought meals. Friends who sat with him in silence. Strangers who offered kind words at the grocery store when they saw him struggling with a screaming toddler. "Because kindness matters," he said simply. "Because someone helped me once when I needed it. Because it's the right thing to do." Tasha stared at him for a long moment. Her vision was blurry, her thoughts scattered, but something in his voice felt different. Felt real. Felt safe in a way she hadn't felt in years. "The diner?" she mumbled. "Just the diner. Then you leave." "Just the diner," Griffin agreed. "Can you walk?" Tasha tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't cooperate. The alcohol, the emotional exhaustion, the rain, it all hit her at once. She swayed dangerously, and Griffin caught her elbow, steadying her. "Easy," he said. "I've got you." "Don't touch me," she said automatically, but there was no heat in it anymore. Just habit. Just 3 years of conditioning. "Okay. But you need help getting to the car. How about you hold onto my arm? You're in control. You let go anytime you want." Tasha hesitated, then slowly reached out and gripped his forearm. The fabric of his coat was expensive, soft, nothing like Derek's cheap jackets. Griffin moved slowly, letting her set the pace as they walked toward his car. It was a nice car. Really nice. Black, sleek, the kind of car that cost more than she'd make in 5 years. Maybe 10 years. Maybe never. "You're rich," she said, the observation tumbling out without filter. "I do okay," Griffin replied, opening the passenger door. "Watch your head." Tasha slid into the leather seat, and the warmth of the car's interior immediately started seeping into her cold, wet skin. Griffin closed the door gently, then jogged around to the driver's side. When he got in, he immediately turned up the heat and aimed the vents toward her. "There's a blanket in the back seat if you want it," he offered, putting the car in gear. Tasha reached back and found a soft, blue blanket. She wrapped it around herself, suddenly aware of how violently she was shivering. The car pulled away from the curb and she watched the dangerous neighborhood slide past the window. "I called you an idiot," she said suddenly, the memory surfacing through the fog. "When you tried to help me. I called you an idiot." "You did," Griffin agreed, his eyes on the road. "But I've been called worse. Don't worry about it. I thought you were someone else. I figured. Someone bad. I figured that too." Tasha's eyes grew heavy. The warmth, the safety, the exhaustion, it all combined to pull her under. She fought it for a moment, some survival instinct telling her not to fall asleep around a stranger, but her body had reached its limit. "The diner?" she mumbled. "You promised." "I promised," Griffin confirmed, glancing over at her. "But you need to stay awake, okay? Talk to me. What's your name?" "Tasha." "Tasha Reynolds." "Nice to meet you, Tasha. Even under these circumstances." "You're too nice," she said, her words slurring more. "Nobody's this nice. What do you want?" "Nothing," Griffin said simply. "I want nothing from you except to know you're safe." That answer didn't make sense to Tasha. In her experience, everyone wanted something. Derek wanted control. Her old boss wanted perfection. Her parents wanted her to be someone she wasn't. Everyone had an angle, everyone had a price. But this stranger, this Griffin Montgomery with his fancy car and his kind voice, claimed he wanted nothing. "Liar," she whispered, but even she didn't believe it anymore. Her eyes closed despite her best efforts. The last thing she remembered was the feeling of the car moving through the rain, smooth and steady, carrying her away from that curb, from that corner, from that moment of absolute despair. Griffin noticed when her breathing evened out, when her head lolled against the window. He'd planned to take her to the diner, but looking at her now, at this broken, exhausted woman who'd been through something clearly terrible, he made a different choice. He pulled out his phone and called his nanny. "Rita? Yes, I know it's late. I need you to prepare the guest room. I'm bringing someone who needs help." He listened to Rita's concerned questions, answered them briefly, and hung up. Looking at Tasha's sleeping form, he thought about Hannah again. About how she'd always been the first to help anyone in need. How she'd volunteered at shelters, donated to causes, stopped to talk to homeless people on the street. She'd believed in the goodness of people, in second chances, in hope. If Hannah were here, she'd tell him he was doing the right thing. The rain continued to fall as Griffin drove toward his home in the suburbs, toward his warm house with too many empty rooms, toward a future neither he nor the sleeping woman beside him could possibly predict. Sometimes life changes in a single moment. Sometimes that moment happens on a rainy street corner at 2 a.m. Sometimes a stranger becomes the answer to a prayer you didn't know you were praying. Have you ever been at your lowest point, feeling like the world had forgotten you, when someone unexpected showed kindness? This story shows how one act of compassion can save a life. If stories like this touch your heart, please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever been helped by a stranger, or have you been that stranger who helped someone in need? Sunlight streamed through unfamiliar curtains, hitting Tasha's face with an intensity that felt like punishment. She groaned and rolled over, her head pounding with the worst hangover she'd had in years. Every movement sent sharp pains through her skull. Her mouth tasted like something had died in it. Where was she? Tasha's eyes snapped open, and panic flooded her system instantly. This wasn't Derek's apartment. This wasn't her friend's couch. This wasn't anywhere she recognized. She was in a bedroom. A nice bedroom. The walls were painted a soft cream color. The bed beneath her was massive, easily a king size, with sheets that felt like they cost more than her car. Real paintings hung on the walls, not posters or prints. A plush armchair sat in the corner next to a floor lamp. Through the window, she could see perfectly manicured gardens and morning sun. "Oh God," she whispered, sitting up too quickly and immediately regretting it as her stomach lurched. "What did I do? Where am I?" She looked down at herself and felt a new wave of panic. She wasn't wearing her red dress anymore. Instead, she had on an oversized gray t-shirt and soft pajama pants. They were clean. They smelled like laundry detergent. Someone had changed her clothes. Tasha's breathing quickened as she tried to remember last night. The rain. The curb. The bottle. A car stopping. A man's voice. She'd called him something. Called him an idiot. Screamed at him. And then, nothing. Just blackness. "No, no, no," she muttered, swinging her legs out of bed. The floor was hardwood, polished, with a thick rug beside the bed. Her feet sank into it as she stood, swaying slightly. "This is bad. This is really bad." She looked around frantically for her dress, for her purse, for any of her belongings. She spotted them neatly folded on a dresser across the room. Her dress had been washed and dried. Her shoes sat beside it, cleaned. Her small crossbody purse rested on top. Someone had taken care of her things while she was unconscious. Tasha grabbed her purse and checked inside. Her wallet was still there. Her ID. The $7 she had left to her name. Her dead phone. Everything was exactly as she'd left it. A soft knock on the door made her jump. "Hello?" a female voice called. Older, warm. "Are you awake, dear?" Tasha's throat was too dry to answer. She stared at the door like it might explode. "I'm Rita, Mr. Montgomery's nanny. I have some water and aspirin for you. May I come in?" Montgomery. That name triggered a memory. Griffin Montgomery. That's what he'd said his name was. The man who'd stopped. The man who'd offered help. "Yes," Tasha managed to croak out. The door opened and a woman in her late 50s entered, carrying a tray. She had kind eyes and gray hair pulled back in a neat bun. She wore comfortable clothes, jeans and a green sweater, and moved with the confidence of someone who knew this house well. "Good morning," Rita said, setting the tray on the nightstand. "How are you feeling?" "Confused," Tasha admitted. "And like I got hit by a truck." Rita smiled sympathetically. "The aspirin will help. Mr. Montgomery asked me to let you know that you're completely safe here. You passed out in his car last night, and he didn't want to leave you at a diner in that condition. He brought you here to his home. I changed your clothes, not him. He was very insistent about that. He slept in his office downstairs to make sure you had privacy. Tasha took the water and aspirin gratefully, downing both. He slept in his office? Yes. Mr. Montgomery is a gentleman. He wanted you to feel safe. I don't understand. Why would he do all this for a stranger? Rita's expression softened. Because he's a good man. Because his wife would have done the same thing. Because sometimes people just help because it's the right thing to do. The mention of a wife made Tasha glance at Rita's left hand, then around the room. There were no photos, no obvious signs of a woman's touch. His wife? Tasha asked carefully. Passed away 3 years ago. Car accident. Left him with their daughter Lily. She's 6 now and the light of his life. Rita picked up Tasha's dress from the dresser. This is clean and dry for you whenever you're ready. There's a bathroom through that door if you want a shower. Fresh towels are laid out. Take your time. I should go, Tasha said even though she had nowhere to go. I've imposed enough. Nonsense. Mr. Montgomery specifically said you're welcome to stay for breakfast. Lily is very excited to meet you. His daughter? Yes. Fair warning, she asks a lot of questions. Rita headed for the door then paused. You were in a bad place last night, dear? Whatever you're running from, whatever happened to you, you're safe here. Mr. Montgomery doesn't expect anything from you. He just wants to help. After Rita left, Tasha sat on the edge of the massive bed trying to process everything. A stranger had rescued her, brought her to his home, made sure she was safe, and asked for nothing in return. It didn't make sense. People didn't do things like that. Not without wanting something. But her clothes were clean. Her belongings were untouched. She'd been cared for with respect and dignity. If this Griffin Montgomery had bad intentions, he'd had all night to act on them. Instead, he'd slept in his office. Tasha's eyes stung with unexpected tears. When was the last time someone had been kind to her without strings attached? When was the last time someone had helped her without making her feel small or worthless or like she owed them something? She couldn't remember. The shower helped clear her head. The bathroom was like something from a magazine, all marble and chrome with water pressure that actually worked and soap that smelled expensive. She washed away the rain, the alcohol, the grime of last night and tried to wash away the shame too. When she emerged, she put on her red dress. It looked better than it had any right to after what she'd put it through. She dried her hair with the towel, left it natural, and took a deep breath before opening the bedroom door. The hallway was just as beautiful as the bedroom. Photos lined the walls, pictures of a little girl at various ages. A man who must be Griffin with dark hair and a genuine smile. And a woman, beautiful and radiant, who appeared in the older photos. The wife who'd passed away. Tasha studied Griffin's face in the photos. He looked happy in the older ones, the ones with his wife. In the more recent photos, the ones with just him and his daughter, the smile was still there but something was different. More careful. More guarded. The smile of someone who'd learned that happiness could be taken away without warning. Hi. Tasha jumped and looked down. A little girl stood in the hallway, wearing purple pajamas with unicorns on them. She had her father's dark hair and curious eyes that studied Tasha with open interest. You must be Lily, Tasha said, crouching down to the girl's level. Yes. You're the lady Daddy rescued last night. He said you were having a really bad day. That's one way to put it. Are you a princess? You're really pretty. Daddy said not to ask too many questions, but I have a lot of questions. Despite everything, Tasha smiled. I'm not a princess. Just a regular person. What kind of questions do you have? Are you going to stay? Rita says you're having breakfast with us. I hope you like pancakes. Rita makes the best pancakes. Do you like pancakes? What's your favorite color? Mine is purple. Do you have any kids? Why were you in the rain? Daddy said you were sad. Are you still sad? Lily. Griffin's voice came from the end of the hallway. He walked toward them, dressed in casual clothes, jeans and a blue button-up shirt, his hair slightly damp like he'd showered recently. What did I say about overwhelming our guest? To not do it, Lily said, not looking the least bit sorry. But she seems nice, Daddy. Griffin's eyes met Tasha's and she was struck by how kind they were. Dark brown, warm, concerned but not pitying. This was the man who'd rescued her. In the daylight, without rain and panic distorting her vision, she could see him clearly. He was handsome, probably in his mid-30s, with the kind of face that belonged to someone who smiled often but had learned sorrow too. Hi, Tasha said, standing up. I'm sorry about last night. About everything I said. About causing so much trouble. You didn't cause any trouble, Griffin replied. How are you feeling? Like I made a complete fool of myself in front of a stranger who was trying to help me. You were in distress. You don't owe me an apology. He gestured toward the stairs. Come on. Let's get some food in you. Things always look better after coffee and Rita's pancakes. Lily is right about that much. Tasha followed them downstairs with Lily chattering the whole way about school, her best friend Emma, and her upcoming dance recital. The house was even more beautiful in the daylight. High ceilings, tasteful decorations, photos everywhere showing a family that had loved each other deeply. The kitchen was massive, with a center island and professional-grade appliances. Rita stood at the stove, flipping pancakes with practiced ease. The smell made Tasha's stomach growl despite her nerves. Sit, Rita instructed, pointing to the counter. Breakfast is almost ready. Tasha sat on one of the bar stools while Lily climbed up next to her. Griffin poured coffee into a mug and slid it across to Tasha without asking if she wanted it. She wrapped her hands around the warm ceramic and took a grateful sip. So, Griffin said, leaning against the counter across from her. I know last night was rough. And I know you probably want to leave and forget this whole thing happened. But I want you to know something first. Tasha braced herself for whatever conditions were coming. For the catch. For the price of his kindness. You're not in any trouble, Griffin continued. You don't owe me anything. But if you need help, real help, I'd like to offer it. No strings attached. No expectations. Why? The question came out sharper than she intended. You don't know me. I was drunk, rude, and I called you names. Why would you want to help me? Griffin was quiet for a moment, his eyes distant. 3 years ago, my wife Hannah died in a car accident. I was a mess. Completely lost. I had a 3-year-old daughter who needed me, a business to run, and I could barely get out of bed in the morning. People helped me. Friends, family, even strangers. They brought meals, watched Lily, sat with me when I couldn't stand to be alone. They asked for nothing in return. They just helped because I needed it. He met her eyes again. I'm not Hannah. I can't be as good as she was. But I can try. And right now you look like someone who needs help. So I'm offering it. Tasha's throat tightened. I don't have anything to give you in return. I don't want anything. Everyone wants something. Not this time. Rita set a plate of pancakes in front of Tasha, breaking the tension. Lily immediately started talking about the face Rita had made with blueberries on her pancakes, and the moment shifted to something lighter. Tasha ate slowly, listening to Lily's endless stream of conversation, watching Griffin interact with his daughter with patient affection. This was a real family. A broken one, maybe, with a mother-shaped hole in the center, but a family built on love and kindness. After breakfast, while Lily ran upstairs to get dressed for school, Griffin and Tasha sat in the living room. The morning sun filled the space with light, making everything feel hopeful in a way Tasha hadn't experienced in years. I need to know what happened, Griffin said gently. I need to know if you're in danger. Someone is looking for you. If I can help in any way beyond giving you a safe place to sleep. Tasha took a deep breath. His name is Derek. Derek Harrison. We were together for 3 years. He was wonderful at first. Charming. Attentive. He made me feel special. But then things changed. Slowly. So slowly I didn't notice until it was too late. She told him everything. How Derek had isolated her from her friends and family. How he'd criticized her job until she quit, then criticized her for not working. How he'd controlled the money, the car, her phone. How the verbal abuse had escalated until she'd spent every day walking on eggshells, terrified of setting him off. I finally left yesterday, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Just packed a bag and walked out. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have money. I just knew I couldn't stay another day. I ended up at that curb and I broke. I just completely broke. Griffin listened without interruption, his expression carefully neutral but his eyes revealing his anger at what she'd endured. You did the right thing, he said when she finished. Leaving took incredible courage. I feel like a coward. You're not. Trust me. Griffin leaned forward. Here's what I'm offering. You stay here in the guest room for as long as you need. We get you back on your feet. Rita can help you find resources, support groups, whatever you need. When you're ready, we help you find a job, a place to live, whatever the next step is. You take your time. You heal. And then you decide what kind of future you want. Why? Tasha asked again because she still couldn't understand. Why are you doing this? Because someone needs to, Griffin said simply. Because I can. Because it's the right thing to do. Tasha looked at this stranger who'd rescued her from the rain, who'd given her shelter and safety, who was offering her a lifeline without asking for anything in return. Every instinct told her to run, to not accept help, to not let herself depend on someone who might turn out to be just as bad as Derek. But those instincts had been formed by trauma. Those instincts were based on a world where kindness came with a price. Maybe, just maybe, this was different. Maybe, just maybe, some people really did help just because they could. Okay, she whispered. Thank you. Griffin smiled and it transformed his face. You're welcome. Now let's figure out next steps. Do you need to get any more of your belongings from Derek's place? No. Everything important is in my bag. I left everything else behind on purpose. Good. That makes things simpler. Do you need to tell anyone where you are? Family? Friends? My mom. She lives in Florida. I should call her. Let her know I'm okay. Use my phone, Griffin offered. Call her now if you want. Take your time. As Tasha took the phone and walked to a quiet corner, she felt something she hadn't felt in 3 years. She felt hope. Real, tangible hope that maybe her life could get better. That maybe she deserved better. That maybe this nightmare was finally ending. Griffin watched her make the call, watched her cry as she talked to her mother, watched her shoulders slowly relax as the conversation went on. He thought about Hannah, about how she'd always believed in second chances, in helping people rebuild their lives. He'd saved this woman from the rain. But something told him she was going to save him too, in ways he couldn't yet understand. Sometimes rescue goes both ways. The first week at Griffin's house passed in a strange blur. Tasha moved carefully through each day, half convinced she'd wake up and find herself back on that curb, that this kindness was just an alcohol-induced dream. But every morning she woke up in the comfortable guest room with soft sheets and sunlight streaming through the windows. Every morning Rita knocked gently with coffee and a warm smile. Every morning she had to remind herself this was real. Griffin gave her space. He went to work each day, came home for dinner, spent time with Lily, and treated Tasha like a welcome houseguest rather than a charity case. He never asked invasive questions. He never made her feel like a burden. He simply existed in his kindness, steady and constant. It was unsettling in the best possible way. On the 8th day, Tasha was sitting in the living room reading a book when Lily bounded in after school, her purple backpack bouncing against her shoulders. Tasha, guess what? We learned about fractions today and I don't understand them at all. Can you help me? Lily dropped her backpack on the floor with a thud and climbed onto the couch beside Tasha, her energy filling the entire room. I don't know, fractions can be pretty tricky, Tasha said with a smile. But let's take a look. They spread Lily's homework across the coffee table, and Tasha found herself explaining how to divide shapes into equal parts. Lily was bright, quick to understand once things were explained in ways that made sense to her. She reminded Tasha of herself at that age, eager to learn, full of questions about how the world worked. You're good at this, Lily said, looking up at Tasha with admiration. Are you a teacher? No. I worked at a hotel before. At the front desk. Did you like it? Tasha paused. Had she liked it? She'd been good at it, certainly. She'd enjoyed helping guests, solving problems, making people feel welcome. But Derek had hated her working there. He'd said the hours were bad, that her boss was trying to take advantage of her, that she cared more about strangers than about him. I did like it, she said finally. I liked helping people. Then why did you stop? How do you explain emotional abuse to a 6-year-old? How do you tell a child that sometimes the people who claim to love you convince you to make yourself smaller and smaller until you disappear? It's complicated, Tasha said. Sometimes grown-ups make choices that don't make sense. That happens a lot, Lily agreed sagely. Rita says grown-ups are just tall kids who pretend they know what they're doing. Tasha laughed. Felt good to laugh. Rita sounds very wise. They finished the homework just as Griffin came home from work. He looked tired, his tie loosened and his hair slightly disheveled, but his face lit up when he saw Lily. How's my girl? He asked, scooping her into a hug. Good. Tasha helped me with fractions. She's really smart, Daddy? I bet she is. Griffin looked at Tasha over Lily's head. Thank you. Fractions are beyond me. You run a multimillion-dollar company, Tasha said. I'm sure you can handle fractions. You'd be surprised what I can't handle. Ask me about third-grade math. I'm terrible. He set Lily down and loosened his tie completely. I thought maybe we could all have dinner together tonight. Really sit down and talk. If you're comfortable with that. Tasha hesitated. They'd eaten together a few times, but those meals had been casual, focused on Lily's chatter. This sounded more intentional. More serious. Sure, she said, because refusing felt rude after everything they'd done for her. Dinner was Rita's famous pot roast, served with roasted vegetables and fresh bread. They sat at the dining table, something Griffin admitted they rarely did, usually eating at the kitchen counter instead. This is fancy, Lily announced, eyeing the cloth napkins. Are we celebrating something? Just a nice family dinner, Griffin said, then seemed to catch himself. I mean, not family exactly. Just dinner. Together. As people who are sharing a meal. He looked flustered and Tasha found it endearing. This powerful businessman who commanded boardrooms got tongue-tied at his own dinner table. It's nice, Tasha said, rescuing him. Thank you for including me. After Lily had been excused to watch her allotted 30 minutes of television before bed, Griffin and Tasha remained at the table with coffee. The house was quiet except for the distant sound of cartoons and Lily's occasional laughter. You've been here over a week now, Griffin said. And I realize I've been giving you space to process everything. But I also want you to know that you can talk to me. About anything. Whenever you're ready. Tasha wrapped her hands around her coffee mug. What do you want to know? Whatever you want to tell me. I know the basics, what you shared that first morning. But if you want to talk more about Derek, about what happened, about what you're feeling, I'm here to listen. Something in his tone, in the genuine care behind his words, made Tasha's carefully constructed walls crack. She'd been holding everything inside, trying to be a good house guest, trying not to burden anyone with her problems. But suddenly she wanted to talk. Needed to talk. I met Derek at work, she began. He came in to book a conference room for his sales team. He was charming, confident. He asked me out 3 times before I said yes. I thought he was persistent in a good way. Griffin listened silently, giving her space to tell the story at her own pace. The first year was perfect. He treated me like I was the most important person in the world. Flowers, surprise dates, long conversations about our dreams. He talked about the future like I was definitely going to be in it. I fell hard. That's how it often starts, Griffin said quietly. The good behavior first to hook you in. Yeah. I didn't know that then. I just thought I was lucky. Tasha's voice grew harder. Then little things started changing. He didn't like my best friend, Keisha. Said she was jealous of our relationship, trying to cause problems. He convinced me to stop hanging out with her. Then he didn't like my coworkers. Thought they were unprofessional, bad influences. He'd get upset when I went out for drinks with them after work. So I stopped. Isolation, Griffin said. Classic control tactic. He was so subtle about it. Never directly forbade me from seeing people. Just made it easier to not see them. Less conflict that way. Tasha took a sip of coffee. Then he started commenting on my job. How my boss didn't appreciate me. How the hours were terrible. How I was too good for that place. He had enough money to support both of us, he said. Why didn't I quit and focus on finding something better? Let me guess. When you quit, finding something better never quite happened. Exactly. Every job I applied for, he found something wrong with it. The commute was too long. The pay was too low. The company culture seemed toxic. There was always a reason I shouldn't take it. Meanwhile, I became completely financially dependent on him. Griffin's jaw tightened, but he said nothing, letting her continue. The criticism started after I quit my job. Little comments about my appearance, my cooking, how I spent my time. I wasn't contributing financially, so I needed to do more around the house. But nothing I did was good enough. The apartment was never clean enough. Dinner was never right. I was never right. Tasha's hands shook slightly. It escalated slowly. He'd yell, then apologize. He'd say cruel things, then buy me gifts. He'd accuse me of flirting with other men, of trying to leave him, of being ungrateful. Then he'd cry and say he was just scared of losing me because he loved me so much. That's not love, Griffin said firmly. That's manipulation. I know that now. But in the moment, when you're living it, when it's happening gradually over months and years, you start to believe it. You start to think maybe you are the problem. Maybe you are ungrateful. Maybe you are lucky that anyone puts up with you at all. You're not the problem, Tasha. You never were. Tears welled up in her eyes. He never hit me. People always ask that. They want to know if he was physically abusive, like that's the only kind that counts. But he never had to hit me. Words work just fine. Griffin reached across the table and placed his hand near hers, not touching, just close enough to offer comfort if she wanted it. Abuse is abuse. It doesn't need bruises to count. I lost myself in that relationship, Tasha whispered. The person I used to be, confident and independent and happy, she just disappeared. By the end, I couldn't remember what I liked to do, what made me laugh, what I wanted from life. Everything was about keeping Derek happy, avoiding conflict, surviving another day. What made you finally leave? Tasha was quiet for a long moment. He accused me of cheating. With his best friend, of all people. It was completely made up, totally insane. But he'd convinced himself it was true. He screamed at me for hours. Called me names I can't even repeat. Then he threw my phone against the wall and smashed it. And in that moment, watching the glass shatter, something broke in me too. I realized this was never going to get better. He was never going to change. And if I stayed, eventually I'd disappear completely. So you left. So I left. I waited until he went to work the next morning. Packed one bag. Took the emergency money I'd been hiding for months. Walked out the door. I didn't have a plan. I just knew I had to get out. That took incredible courage. It didn't feel courageous. It felt terrifying. I spent hours just walking around the city trying to figure out where to go. I called my mom, but she lives 3 states away and doesn't have room for me to stay long term. I tried calling Keisha, my old best friend, but her number was disconnected. I'd burned so many bridges at Derek's encouragement that I had nowhere to turn. So you ended up on that curb. So I ended up on that curb. I bought vodka with my last $30 and tried to make the world stop spinning for a while. Smart, right? You were in crisis. You made a human choice. Tasha looked at him, this kind man who'd saved her from her lowest moment. Why are you so understanding? Most people would judge me. Tell me I should have left sooner, should have seen the signs, should have been stronger. Griffin's expression grew distant. Hannah, my wife, she volunteered at a women's shelter before Lily was born. She'd come home and tell me stories about the women there. How strong they were. How brave. And how people constantly judged them for not leaving sooner, for going back, for staying in the first place. She said the cruelty of that judgment, of people who'd never been in that situation passing judgment on those who had, made her angrier than almost anything else. He focused on Tasha again. I learned from her that leaving is the hardest part. That it takes an average of 7 attempts before someone permanently leaves an abusive relationship. That the most dangerous time for a victim is right after they leave. Hannah taught me never to judge someone's timeline, only to support them when they were ready to go. She sounds amazing. She was. Griffin's voice was thick with emotion. She would have liked you, I think. She always saw the best in people, even when they couldn't see it in themselves. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, the only sound Lily's laughter drifting in from the other room. I should get a job, Tasha said finally. Start saving money. Find my own place. I can't stay in your guest room forever. You can stay as long as you need. That's generous, but I need to start rebuilding my life. I need to prove to myself that I can be independent again. Griffin nodded slowly. I understand that. And when you're ready I can help you look. But there's no rush. Take time to heal first. Take time to remember who you are without Derek's voice in your head. Who am I without Derek's voice in my head? Tasha asked, more to herself than to Griffin. I don't even know anymore. Then that's what you figure out, Griffin said gently. You figure out who Tasha Reynolds is when she's safe, when she's supported, when she has the space to just be herself. That's the most important work you can do right now. Tasha felt tears spill down her cheeks. Not sad tears, but something else. Relief maybe. Or hope. Or just the feeling of being seen and valued after years of being diminished. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for seeing me as a person worth helping. You are worth helping, Tasha. You're worth so much more than you know. Later that night, after Lily had gone to bed and Griffin had retreated to his office to finish some work, Tasha stood in the guest room looking at her reflection in the mirror. She studied her face, searching for traces of the woman she used to be before Derek. She was still beautiful, she realized. Her skin still glowed. Her eyes, while haunted, still held intelligence and strength. Her natural hair, which Derek had always criticized as unprofessional, framed her face in a way that felt authentically hers. Maybe Griffin was right. Maybe the work now was just figuring out who she was. Who she wanted to be. What kind of life she wanted to build. For the first time in years, that future felt like something she could actually have. Something real. Something possible. And it all started with a stranger stopping on a rainy night, refusing to drive away, choosing kindness when he could have chosen convenience. Tasha thought about all the people who'd walked past her that night. All the cars that had slowed down and sped up again. All the moments when someone could have helped and didn't. Griffin had stopped. Griffin had cared. Griffin had offered safety without expecting anything in return. She would never forget that. And somehow, some way she would find a way to deserve it. Though Griffin would tell her she already did. 2 weeks into her stay, Griffin knocked on Tasha's bedroom door early in the morning. She opened it to find him dressed in a sharp gray suit, holding 2 cups of coffee. I have a proposition for you, he said, handing her one of the cups. And before you say no, I want you to hear me out completely. Tasha took the coffee, immediately suspicious. That's never a good way to start a conversation. Just listen. Griffin leaned against the doorframe. My personal assistant quit 3 weeks ago. She got married and moved to Seattle with her husband. I've been trying to manage without help, but honestly, I'm drowning. I need someone organized, capable, and trustworthy. And you think that's me? I know that's you. You managed a hotel front desk for years. You juggled 100 tasks at once. You dealt with difficult people and complex situations. Those are exactly the skills I need. Tasha shook her head. Griffin, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but I can't take a job just because you feel sorry for me. I don't feel sorry for you. I need help and you need a job. This is practical, not charity. He straightened up. I'll pay you a fair salary, same as I paid my previous assistant. You'll work normal business hours. You'll have your own office at Montgomery Enterprises. It's a real job with real responsibilities. What if I mess up? What if I'm not good enough? Then we figure it out together just like any other new employee. But I don't think you'll mess up. I think you'll be great at it. Tasha wanted to say no. Every instinct screamed that accepting would make her even more dependent on him, more indebted, more trapped. But another part of her, the part that was starting to heal, recognized this for what it was. Not a trap. An opportunity. What exactly would I be doing? Griffin's face brightened. Managing my calendar, scheduling meetings, handling correspondence, coordinating with my team. Nothing you can't handle. And you'd work closely with Anthony Baker, my business partner. He's been trying to keep me organized, but he has his own work to do. When would I start? Whenever you're ready. Tomorrow. Next week. Your timeline. Tasha took a long sip of coffee, thinking. She needed independence. She needed to prove to herself that she could work again, be productive again, contribute again. Griffin was offering her that chance. Okay, she said. But I want to be clear about something. This is a job. You're my boss. I work for you and I do it well. If at any point you think I'm not right for the position, you tell me. No special treatment because of how we met. Griffin smiled. Deal. How about you start Monday? That gives you a few days to prepare. Monday works. They shook hands, professional and formal, and Tasha felt a surge of something she hadn't felt in years. Pride. Purpose. The beginning of independence. That weekend, Griffin took her shopping for work clothes. Tasha protested, saying she could manage with what she had, but Griffin insisted. You'll be representing my company, he said as they walked through an upscale department store. Consider this part of your employment package. They picked out several outfits, professional dresses, blouses, slacks, a blazer in deep blue that made her feel powerful. Tasha chose bright colors, greens and blues and a deep maroon, avoiding the blacks and grays Derek had always insisted she wear. You have great taste, Griffin commented as she held up a red blouse for his opinion. Derek hated when I wore red. Said it was too attention-seeking. Derek was an idiot. Griffin took the blouse and added it to their pile. Red looks beautiful on you. Monday morning arrived with a mix of nerves and excitement. Tasha dressed carefully in one of her new outfits, a fitted green dress with a blue blazer. She looked at herself in the mirror and barely recognized the confident woman staring back. Montgomery Enterprises occupied the top 3 floors of a downtown building. The offices were modern and professional, with floor-to-ceiling windows offering views of the city. Employees moved with purpose through sleek hallways, and everything hummed with productive energy. Griffin introduced her to his team throughout the morning. They were friendly, welcoming, clearly accustomed to Griffin's kindness extending to new employees. No one asked awkward questions about where she'd come from or how she'd gotten the job. Anthony Baker was the last person she met. Griffin's business partner was in his late 30s, tall and athletic, with an easy smile and sharp eyes that took in everything. So you're the one who finally got Griffin to hire someone? Anthony said, shaking her hand. Thank God. He's been impossible without an assistant. I'm standing right here, Griffin protested. And you know I'm right. Anthony turned back to Tasha. Fair warning, he's brilliant but disorganized. He'll schedule 3 meetings at the same time and forget to eat lunch. Your main job is keeping him from self-destructing. I'm not that bad, Griffin muttered. You absolutely are. Anthony grinned at Tasha. But he's also the best person I know, so it evens out. Welcome to the team, Tasha. We're glad to have you. The first day was overwhelming in the best way. Tasha learned the company systems, familiarized herself with Griffin's calendar, and started organizing the chaos that was his email inbox. It felt good to be useful again. To be challenged. To be treated like a competent professional rather than someone who needed constant management. At lunch, Griffin insisted she join him and Anthony in the conference room they used for working meals. "How's your first day?" Griffin asked, passing her a container of salad. "Busy. Your inbox is a disaster." "See?" Anthony pointed at Griffin. "I told you." "I've been managing fine," Griffin protested weakly. "You've been drowning," Tasha corrected. "But I think I can fix it. Give me a week and you'll actually be able to find important emails." "She's already better than you," Anthony said to Griffin. "I like her." They fell into easy conversation, discussing upcoming projects and clients. Tasha found herself contributing ideas, offering suggestions, and both men listened with genuine interest. They treated her like an equal, like someone whose opinion mattered. It was intoxicating. Over the following weeks, Tasha settled into the rhythm of the job. She streamlined Griffin's schedule, set up better systems for communication, and became the person everyone went to when they needed something from the CEO. She was good at it, better than she'd expected, and the confidence that came with competence was addictive. Griffin was an excellent boss. He gave clear instructions, trusted her judgment, and never micromanaged. When she made mistakes, which she did occasionally, he helped her fix them without making her feel stupid. When she did well, which was most of the time, he acknowledged it. "You're a natural at this," he told her one afternoon after she'd successfully coordinated a particularly complex client meeting. "I don't know what I did before you started." "Suffered, apparently," Tasha replied, filing away the last of the meeting notes. "Accurate." Griffin leaned against her desk. "You know, Anthony was right. You are better at this than I am at organizing myself. That's why you hired me." "One of the reasons." His expression grew more serious. "How are you doing really? With everything?" "Better," Tasha said honestly. "I feel like myself again. Or maybe like a new version of myself. Someone stronger. You were always strong. You just needed space to remember that." These moments happened occasionally when the professional relationship slipped and they remembered how they'd met, what she'd been through, how he'd saved her. They were always brief, always careful not to cross lines that might make work awkward. But the connection was there, growing steadily despite both of them trying to keep it professional. At home, Tasha had become part of the household routine. She helped Lily with homework every evening. She cooked dinner with Rita several nights a week. She watched movies with Griffin and Lily on weekends. They'd developed a comfortable rhythm, the three of them like a family without the label. Lily had taken to calling her Tasha who helps, to distinguish her from other adults in her life. It was endearing in its childish logic. "Tasha who helps, can you braid my hair?" Lily asked one morning before school. Tasha sat with her on the bathroom counter, carefully braiding her dark hair into two neat plaits. "How's that?" "Perfect. You're good at everything, Tasha who helps." "Not everything. I'm terrible at math above 8th grade level." "Then you and Daddy can be terrible at math together." Lily examined her braids in the mirror. "Do you think you'll stay forever?" The question caught Tasha off guard. "What do you mean?" "Rita says you live with us now. And you work with Daddy. So does that mean you'll stay forever?" "I don't know, honey. We'll see what happens. I hope you stay forever. You make Daddy smile more. He stopped smiling as much after Mommy died. But now he smiles again." Tasha's throat tightened. "Your daddy loves you very much. That's why he smiles." "He loves me always," Lily agreed. "But he's happier now. Rita says it too. We both think you should stay forever." That evening, after Lily was in bed, Tasha found Griffin in his office. He was working late again, papers spread across his desk, his reading glasses perched on his nose. "You're going to strain your eyes?" she said from the doorway. Griffin looked up and smiled. "Says my assistant who was still answering emails at 8 o'clock. That's different. I'm getting paid for it." "So am I, technically." Tasha entered the office and sat in one of the chairs across from his desk. "Lily said something interesting today." "Only one thing?" "That's unusual for Lily. She asked if I was staying forever." Griffin set down his pen. "What did you tell her?" "That we'd see what happens. But it made me think. I've been here almost 2 months now. I'm working, earning money. Maybe it's time I start looking for my own place." Griffin was quiet for a moment. "Do you want to leave?" "I don't want to overstay my welcome." "You haven't. You're welcome here as long as you want to stay. But it's your home. You're in Lily's home. I'm just a guest." "You're more than a guest, Tasha. You're family." Griffin seemed surprised by his own words. "At least that's how we see you. Lily adores you. Rita loves having another woman around. And I." He trailed off, and something hung in the air between them, unspoken but present. "And you?" Tasha prompted gently. "And I'm grateful to have you here. Not just as my assistant, but as someone who makes this house feel more like a home again." Tasha's heart raced. This was dangerous territory, these feelings developing between them. He was her boss, her rescuer, the person who'd saved her from her lowest point. Getting involved romantically would be messy, complicated, potentially disastrous. But she couldn't deny the feelings were there. Growing stronger every day. "I should go," she said, standing up. "Let you finish your work." "Tasha, wait." Griffin stood too. "I'm not trying to make you uncomfortable. I just want you to know that you have a place here. For as long as you need it. No pressure. No expectations." "I know," she said softly. "Thank you, Griffin. For everything." As she left his office, Tasha's mind whirled with confusion and hope and fear. She was falling for him. There was no point denying it. This kind, generous man who'd given her shelter and safety and purpose, he was becoming more than just her rescuer. But she'd just escaped one relationship. Was it too soon to even think about another? Was she ready? Was it fair to him? She didn't have answers. But she knew one thing. She felt safer with Griffin Montgomery than she'd ever felt with anyone. And maybe, just maybe, that meant something important. Trust, she was learning, was built in moments. In coffee shared in doorways. In job offers made with respect. In braids and homework and family dinners. In spaces where kindness lived without conditions. She was learning to trust again. Learning to trust Griffin, trust herself, trust that maybe the world wasn't as cruel as Derek had made it seem. And that trust was the foundation of everything else that would come. Spring arrived in full bloom, transforming Griffin's garden into a riot of color. Tasha found herself spending mornings on the back patio with her coffee, watching the world wake up. These quiet moments before the day's chaos began had become sacred to her, time to think and breathe and remember that she was free. 3 months had passed since that rainy night. 3 months of healing, growing, rediscovering herself. She had her own bank account now, growing with each paycheck. She'd reconnected with her mother through weekly video calls. She'd even reached out to Keisha, her old best friend, and they were slowly rebuilding their friendship. But the most significant change was how completely she'd integrated into Griffin's life. It happened so gradually that she couldn't pinpoint when it shifted. When helping Lily with homework became their nightly routine. When cooking with Rita became a collaborative dance they both enjoyed. When spending evenings with Griffin talking about everything and nothing became the best part of her day. They'd grown close. Too close maybe. The professional boundaries at work were clear, but at home, something else was developing. Something warm and comfortable and terrifying. "You're thinking too hard," Rita said, appearing on the patio with fresh coffee. "I can see the smoke from here." Tasha smiled. "Just enjoying the morning." "You've been enjoying the morning, in that same position for 20 minutes, not moving." "That's thinking, not enjoying." Rita sat down beside her. "Want to talk about it?" "About what?" "About whatever has you looking at this house like you're trying to memorize it." Tasha was quiet for a moment. "I've been here 3 months." "I know. I should probably start looking for my own place soon." "Why?" "Because this isn't my home. Because I'm imposing. Because eventually, I need to stand on my own." Rita sipped her coffee thoughtfully. "You are standing on your own. You have a job, earn your own money, make your own choices. Living here doesn't change that. But I feel like I'm taking advantage. Griffin has been so generous, and I don't want him to feel like he's stuck with me." "Does he seem like he wants you to leave?" "No, but maybe he's just being polite." Rita laughed. "Griffin Montgomery is many things, but overly polite about his personal space isn't one of them. If he wanted you to leave, you'd know." "Then why does he want me to stay?" "Because you make him happy," Rita said simply. "Because Lily loves you. Because this house has felt alive again since you arrived. We were functioning before, getting through each day, but we weren't living. Now we are." "Rita." "I've known Griffin since Lily was born. I watched him fall apart when Hannah died. I watched him rebuild himself for his daughter's sake, but there was always something missing. A spark. A lightness. You brought that back." Tasha felt tears prick her eyes. "I don't know if I'm ready for what you're suggesting." "I'm not suggesting anything except that you stop looking for reasons to leave and start accepting that you belong here." Rita stood up. "Now come on. Lily needs help picking an outfit for picture day, and you know she trusts your fashion sense more than mine." The morning chaos of getting Lily ready for school was familiar now. The girl had strong opinions about everything, especially clothes, and today was particularly important. I want to wear my purple dress, Lily declared, holding up a lavender sundress. But also my red shoes. Do they match? How about your white shoes? Tasha suggested. They go with everything. But red is my power color. Emma told me everyone should have a power color. Emma sounds very wise. Okay, red shoes it is. Griffin appeared in the doorway, already dressed for work in a navy suit. How's Operation Picture Day going? We're negotiating accessories, Tasha replied. It's delicate work. I'm sure you can handle it. Griffin checked his watch. I need to head out early for a breakfast meeting. Tasha, can you bring Lily to school this morning? Of course. You're the best. Griffin kissed Lily's forehead. Be good for Tasha, okay? I'm always good, Lily protested. That's debatable, Griffin said with a grin, then left for work. After getting Lily to school, Tasha arrived at Montgomery Enterprises to find chaos. The main conference room was filled with people, voices raised in obvious frustration. Anthony spotted her and waved her over. Thank God you're here. We have a situation. What kind of situation? The Chin presentation. The one scheduled for Wednesday. What about it? They moved it up to today. This afternoon. Griffin's been trying to prepare, but half the materials aren't ready, 2 key team members are out sick, and the client just added 3 new people to the meeting. Tasha immediately shifted into crisis mode. Okay, where's Griffin? His office, buried in slides. She found him exactly where Anthony said, his desk covered in papers, his hair disheveled from running his hands through it. Don't panic, she said from the doorway. Griffin looked up. Too late. We have 6 hours. We can fix this. Tasha grabbed a notepad. Tell me what's missing. They spent the next several hours in focused intensity. Tasha coordinated with the team, redistributed tasks, called in favors, and somehow pulled together everything they needed. She revised slides, printed materials, arranged the conference room, and kept everyone calm while doing it. By the time the Chin representatives arrived, everything was perfect. The presentation went smoothly and Griffin closed the deal. Afterward, as the clients left satisfied, Griffin found Tasha in her office. You saved me today, he said, leaning against her desk. That could have been a disaster. That's what you pay me for. I pay you for a lot less than what you actually do. You went above and beyond today, Tasha. Way beyond. We're a team. That's what teams do. Griffin studied her face. You know what I think? What? I think you're remarkable. I think you take impossible situations and make them work. I think you're the most capable person I've ever met. Tasha felt heat rise in her cheeks. You're giving me too much credit. I'm giving you exactly the credit you deserve. Griffin hesitated, then said, Can I take you to dinner tonight? To celebrate the successful presentation? Just the 2 of us. Tasha's heart raced. This was different from their casual meals at home. This was deliberate, intentional. This was almost like a date. Griffin, I don't know if that's a good idea. Why not? Because you're my boss. Because I live in your house. Because this could get complicated. It's already complicated, Griffin said gently. But maybe that's okay. Maybe complicated is better than nothing. Tasha wanted to say yes. Every fiber of her being wanted to say yes. But fear held her back. Fear of ruining what they already had. Fear of getting hurt again. Fear of not being ready. I need to think about it, she said finally. Griffin nodded, not pushing. Take all the time you need. The offer stands whenever you're ready. That evening, Tasha sat with Lily while the girl did her homework. They worked on a story about her day, and Lily wrote with careful concentration. Tasha? Lily said, not looking up from her paper. Yes. Do you like my daddy? The question was so direct, so innocent, that Tasha didn't know how to answer. Of course I like your daddy. He's a very good person. No, I mean like him. The way people like each other in movies. Lily. Because I think he likes you. He smiles different when you're around. More real. Tasha set down her own pen. Your daddy and I are friends. But could you be more than friends? Because I think that would be nice. Emma's mom has a boyfriend, and Emma says it's okay as long as he's nice. And you're nice, so if you were daddy's girlfriend, that would be okay. It's not that simple, honey. Why not? You're both nice. You both like each other. You both make each other smile. That's what Rita says love is. Making each other smile. Out of the mouths of children, Tasha thought. 6-year-old wisdom cutting through all her adult complications. Sometimes grown-ups make things harder than they need to be, Tasha admitted. Then maybe grown-ups should be more like kids, Lily said matter-of-factly, returning to her homework. Later, after Lily was in bed, Tasha found Griffin in his study. He was reading, his glasses perched on his nose, looking peaceful in the lamplight. Griffin. He looked up. Hey, everything okay? I've been thinking about your dinner invitation. Griffin set down his book, giving her his full attention. And? I'm scared, she admitted. I just got out of a terrible relationship. I'm still figuring out who I am on my own. And you've been so good to me and I don't want to ruin that. You wouldn't ruin anything. But what if I'm not ready? What if I mess this up? Griffin stood and walked closer to her. Then we figure it out together. Tasha, I'm not Derek. I'm not going to control you or hurt you or make you feel small. I just want to spend time with you. Get to know you better. See where this goes. What if it goes nowhere? Then we had some nice dinners. What if it goes somewhere amazing? Tasha looked into his kind eyes, saw the genuine care there, and felt something shift inside her. Maybe Rita was right. Maybe she was looking for reasons to run when she should be accepting that she belonged here. With him. Okay, she whispered. Let's have dinner. Griffin's face lit up with a smile that made her heart skip. Yeah. But we take it slow. Really slow. Slow is good. Slow works for me. They stood there, smiling at each other, and something settled into place. This was happening. They were going to try. Complicated or not, scary or not, they were going to see what could grow between them. And for the first time since that rainy night, Tasha felt ready. Ready to risk her heart again. Ready to believe that maybe not all men were like Derek. Ready to trust that Griffin's kindness was real and lasting. She was still healing. She still had bad days and moments of doubt. But she was also growing stronger every day. Strong enough to reach for something good when it was offered. Strong enough to believe she deserved it. Saturday morning arrived bright and clear, perfect weather for the park. Griffin had suggested an outing, just the three of them, and Tasha had agreed. They packed a picnic lunch, loaded up a blanket and a soccer ball, and drove to the large park on the edge of town. Lily was a bundle of energy, racing ahead of them on the walking path, her pink jacket bright against the spring flowers. Griffin and Tasha followed at a more leisurely pace, carrying the picnic basket between them. She's going to crash hard this afternoon, Griffin commented, watching his daughter run circles around a fountain. That's the plan, right? Wear her out so she actually takes a nap. Exactly. You're learning the secrets of parenting. Tasha smiled. I'm learning from the best. They found a spot under a large oak tree, its branches providing perfect shade. Griffin spread out the blanket while Tasha unpacked the food Rita had prepared. Lily immediately demanded the soccer ball, and Griffin obliged, jogging with her to an open field nearby. Tasha watched them play, Griffin patient as he taught Lily proper kicking technique, both of them laughing when the ball went wildly off course. The sight made something warm bloom in her chest. This was what family looked like. Not perfect. Not complicated. Just people who cared about each other spending time together. After they'd exhausted themselves with soccer, they returned to the blanket for lunch. Lily chattered nonstop about school, her upcoming recital, and the new girl in her class who also liked unicorns. And Emma said her mom and her mom's boyfriend are going to get married, Lily announced through a mouthful of sandwich. She gets to be a flower girl. That's exciting, Tasha said. Emma must be happy. She is. She really likes her mom's boyfriend. He plays games with her and doesn't get mad when she wins. Lily took a sip of juice, then looked at Tasha with sudden intensity. Tasha, are you going to be my new mommy? The question landed like a bomb in the peaceful afternoon. Tasha froze, her sandwich halfway to her mouth. Griffin choked slightly on his water. Lily, Griffin said quickly, that's not an appropriate question. Why not? Emma asked her mom if her boyfriend was going to be her new daddy, and her mom said yes. So I want to know if Tasha is going to be my new mommy. Tasha set down her sandwich, her heart racing. Lily, honey, your daddy and I are friends. But you live with us, and you help me with homework, and you cook dinner. And you and daddy smile at each other the way Emma's mom and her boyfriend smile at each other. So are you going to get married? Griffin ran a hand through his hair. Lily, relationships are complicated. Adults don't just become married because they smile at each other. But do you want to? Lily pressed, looking between them with 6-year-old determination. This isn't a conversation for right now, Griffin said, his voice gentle but firm. Why don't you go play on the swings for a bit? Tasha and I will clean up lunch. Lily pouted but obeyed, skipping off toward the playground. As soon as she was out of earshot, Griffin turned to Tasha with an apologetic expression. I'm so sorry. I don't know where that came from. She's observant, Tasha said, trying to keep her voice light despite the chaos of emotions inside her. Kids see things. She's 6. She doesn't understand that people can care about each other without it meaning marriage. But she's not entirely wrong, is she? Tasha said quietly. About the way we smile at each other? Griffin was silent for a long moment. No. She's not wrong about that. They packed up lunch in awkward silence, both hyper-aware of each other. The comfortable ease from earlier had been replaced by tension, by unspoken things hanging heavy in the air. Finally, Griffin spoke. Can we talk? Really talk? Tasha nodded, and they sat back down on the blanket, watching Lily play in the distance. I haven't felt this way since Hannah died, Griffin began, his voice low. I didn't think I could feel this way again. Hannah was my person, you know? My best friend, my partner, the love of my life. When she died, I thought that was it for me. I'd focus on raising Lily, building my company, and that would be enough. And now? Tasha prompted gently. And now you're here, and suddenly enough doesn't feel like enough anymore. Griffin turned to look at her. You make me want things I'd given up on. Not just romance but partnership. Someone to share life with. Someone to come home to. Someone who makes the house feel complete. Tasha's eyes stung with tears. Griffin, I'm broken. I'm still healing from Derek. I'm still figuring out who I am without him. I don't know if I have anything to offer you. You're not broken. You're healing, yes, but that's not the same thing. And you have everything to offer. You're kind, capable, smart, beautiful. You make Lily laugh. You make my house feel like a home. You make me remember what it's like to be happy. What if I mess this up? What if I'm not ready and I hurt you? Then we figure it out. Tasha, I'm not asking you to have all the answers right now. I'm just asking you to be honest about what you feel. Tasha took a shaky breath. I feel terrified. Because I'm falling for you and that scares me. I swore I wouldn't let myself depend on anyone again. But then there you are, being kind and patient and wonderful, and I can't help it. Griffin reached over and took her hand, the first truly romantic gesture he'd made. His hand was warm, steady, safe. I'm falling for you too, he said. Have been for a while now. I tried to fight it, told myself it was too complicated, that you needed space to heal. But the truth is, I love having you in my life. I love how you handle Lily. I love working with you. I love our evening conversations. I love every moment we spend together. This is happening really fast. Is it? We've known each other for 3 months. We see each other every day. We work together, live together, raise a child together. In some ways we're already doing life together. Tasha had to admit he had a point. Their relationship, whatever it was, had developed in an unusual way. They'd skipped the early dating phase and jumped straight into domestic partnership. But that didn't mean the feelings were any less real. I don't want Lily to get hurt, Tasha said. If we try this and it doesn't work, then we handle it like adults. We communicate. We put Lily first. But Tasha, I don't think it won't work. I think we could be really good together. You've been so good to me already. You saved me, gave me a job, gave me a home. I don't want you to feel obligated to feel something more. Griffin squeezed her hand. I don't feel obligated. I feel hopeful. There's a difference. They sat in silence, hands linked, watching Lily play. The world moved around them, other families enjoying the park, dogs chasing frisbees, the ordinary magic of a spring afternoon. I want to try, Tasha finally said. But slow. Really slow. Define slow. Dates. Real dates outside the house. Getting to know each other in that way. But we keep it separate from Lily for now. We don't confuse her or get her hopes up until we're sure. That sounds reasonable. And if it gets weird at work, we reevaluate. Also reasonable. And I want to keep my room for now. Moving into your room feels like too much too fast. Griffin nodded. Whatever you need. Whatever makes you comfortable. And if I have a bad day, if the Derek stuff comes back, you have to be patient with me. Always. Tasha looked at their joined hands, at this good man who'd shown her kindness when she needed it most, who was now offering her something more. Okay. Let's see where this goes. Griffin smiled, the kind of genuine, unguarded smile she'd rarely seen. Yeah. Can I take you to dinner tomorrow night? A real date. A real date sounds nice. They were both grinning like teenagers when Lily ran back over, panting and rosy-cheeked. Can we get ice cream? She demanded. Please? I promise I'll be good at dinner. You're always good at dinner, Griffin said, standing up and pulling Tasha to her feet. Ice cream sounds perfect. They walked to the ice cream truck at the park entrance, Lily between them holding both their hands. To anyone watching they looked like a family. And maybe they were becoming one, slowly and carefully, building something new from the ashes of their separate losses. That evening, after Lily was in bed, Griffin walked Tasha to her room. They stood in the hallway, suddenly shy with each other now that everything had changed. "Thank you for saying yes," Griffin said. "To trying this with me. Thank you for being patient. For understanding that I need time. I'd wait forever if that's what you needed." It was such a romantic thing to say that Tasha felt tears prick her eyes. "You're making this really hard to take slow." Griffin laughed. "Sorry? I'll try to be less charming." "Please don't. I like the charm." They stood there, smiling at each other, and the air between them felt electric with possibility. Griffin leaned in slowly, giving her plenty of time to move away if she wanted. When she didn't, he pressed a gentle kiss to her forehead. "Good night, Tasha." "Good night, Griffin." As she closed her door and leaned against it, Tasha felt a strange mix of fear and joy. She was taking a risk, opening her heart again after Derek had nearly destroyed it. But Griffin wasn't Derek. Griffin had proven day after day that his kindness was genuine, that his character was solid, that he could be trusted. Maybe, just maybe, she was allowed to be happy again. Maybe she deserved this chance at love. Maybe the universe had put her on that rainy curb specifically so Griffin would find her. Everything happens for a reason, her mother used to say. Tasha had never believed it before. But now, thinking about the chain of events that had led her here, she wondered if maybe her mother was right. Sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes. Sometimes you have to break completely before you can rebuild into something stronger. Sometimes a stranger stops on a rainy night and changes your entire life. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, that stranger becomes something more. Monday morning started like any other. Tasha arrived at Montgomery Enterprises early, coffee in hand, ready to tackle the week. She'd spent Sunday evening on that promised date with Griffin, dinner at a quiet restaurant where they'd talked for hours. It had been perfect, easy, natural. She'd come home feeling hopeful about the future for the first time in years. That hope was about to be tested. She was reviewing Griffin's schedule when the front desk called. "Tasha? There's a Derek Harrison here asking to see you. Should I send him up?" Tasha's blood turned to ice. "Derek? Here. At her workplace. How did he even find her?" "No," she managed to say. "Don't send him up. Call security." But before the receptionist could respond, Tasha heard a commotion from the main floor. Raised voices. The elevator dinging. And then Derek was there, striding through the office like he owned the place. He looked the same. Same confident walk, same expensive suit that was slightly too tight, same smile that had once charmed her and now made her stomach turn. His eyes scanned the office until they landed on her. "Tasha," he said, his voice carrying across the space. "There you are. We need to talk." Every employee in sight stopped working. Anthony appeared from his office, his expression alert and concerned. Tasha stood frozen behind her desk, her hands shaking. "You need to leave," she said, proud that her voice came out steady. "Now. Come on, baby. Don't be like that. I just want to talk. I have nothing to say to you." Derek moved closer and Tasha instinctively stepped back. "You can't just leave, Tasha. We had something. We can work this out." "There's nothing to work out. We're done." "You don't mean that. You're just confused. That happens when you make big decisions without thinking them through." Derek's tone was patronizing, the same tone he'd used 1,000 times when explaining why she was wrong about something. Anthony stepped forward. "Sir, you need to leave. This is a place of business and you're disrupting it." Derek barely glanced at him. "This doesn't concern you. This is between me and my girlfriend." "Ex-girlfriend," Tasha corrected, finding strength in Anthony's presence. "I left you, Derek. It's over. You left because you were having one of your dramatic episodes. I get it. You needed space. But you've had 3 months. Time to come home now." The sheer audacity of his words, the way he dismissed her choice as a dramatic episode, made anger surge through Tasha's fear. "I am home. This is my life now. You're not part of it. Don't be ridiculous. You can't make it without me. Where are you even living? How are you paying rent? Let me guess, you're crashing with some friend who's getting tired of you. That's none of your business. Everything about you is my business." 3 years, Tasha. You don't just throw that away. "I'm not throwing it away. I'm protecting myself from you." Derek's expression hardened, the mask of charm slipping. "From me? I took care of you. I put a roof over your head, food on the table. And this is how you repay me?" By disappearing and ignoring my calls. You controlled me. You isolated me. You made me feel worthless. That's not love, Derek. That's abuse. Abuse? Derek laughed, but there was no humor in it. You always were dramatic. I pushed you to be better, to reach your potential. If you felt bad, that's on you, not me. Get out. The voice came from behind Derek, cold and commanding. Griffin stood there, having emerged from his office. He looked calm, but Tasha could see the tension in his shoulders, the protective anger in his eyes. You heard the lady. Leave. Derek turned, sizing Griffin up. And who are you? Griffin Montgomery. I own this company. And you're trespassing. Trespassing? I'm here to see my girlfriend. She's not your girlfriend. She asked you to leave. So leave or I'll have security escort you out. Derek's eyes narrowed as he looked between Griffin and Tasha. Wait, you're working here? For him? His voice turned ugly. How convenient. You leave me and immediately shack up with some rich guy. How long were you planning this, Tasha? It's not like that, Tasha said, but Derek wasn't listening. You know what? This makes sense now. You always were looking for someone to take care of you. I wasn't enough, so you found someone richer. Someone who could give you more. That's not true. Isn't it? You're pathetic, Tasha. You know that? Jumping from one man to another because you can't stand on your own. Griffin moved forward, placing himself between Derek and Tasha. That's enough. You don't get to come into my building and insult my employees. Your employees? Derek laughed bitterly. Is that what she is to you? Because I'm guessing there's more to this story. What there is or isn't between Tasha and me is none of your concern. What is your concern is that you have 30 seconds to walk out of here before I call the police. For what? Talking to my girlfriend? For harassment. For trespassing after being asked to leave. For creating a hostile work environment. Want me to keep going? Derek's face flushed red. He looked at Tasha one more time. You're making a mistake. You're going to regret this. You think this guy actually cares about you? He's using you, Tasha. Just like everyone will use you because that's all you're good for. The words were designed to wound, to plant seeds of doubt. A few months ago they might have worked. But Tasha had grown since then. She'd remembered her worth. The only mistake I made was staying with you for 3 years, Tasha said clearly. Griffin has shown me more respect in 3 months than you showed me in 3 years. He sees me as a person, not a possession. He supports me instead of tearing me down. He's everything you'll never be. Derek's expression turned dangerous. He took a step toward Tasha, and Griffin immediately blocked him, his body language making it clear he'd physically intervene if necessary. Touch her and you'll regret it, Griffin said, his voice deadly calm. Security arrived then, 2 large men who'd clearly been briefed on the situation. They approached Derek from either side. Sir, we need you to leave the premises, one of them said. Now. Derek looked around, seeming to realize he was outmaneuvered. But he couldn't resist one last parting shot. You're going to come crawling back, Tasha. And when you do, I won't be there. You'll be alone, and you'll remember that I was the best thing that ever happened to you. Please, Tasha said coldly. Being drunk on a curb at 2 a.m. was better than one more day with you. Security escorted Derek to the elevator. He went without physical resistance but kept yelling threats and insults until the elevator doors closed and cut him off. The office remained silent for a moment, everyone processing what had just happened. Then activity slowly resumed as people went back to their work, though Tasha noticed sympathetic glances cast her way. Griffin turned to her. Are you okay? Tasha's hands were shaking, adrenaline flooding her system now that the immediate danger was past. I don't know. Come on. Griffin gently guided her into his office and closed the door. Sit down. I'll get you some water. Tasha sank into one of the plush chairs, her legs suddenly weak. Griffin handed her a glass of water, then crouched down in front of her so they were eye level. Talk to me, he said gently. What do you need? I need to not shake like a leaf. I need to not feel like I'm going to throw up. I need to not feel like he's going to come back. He's not coming back. I'm having security put him on a banned list. If he comes within 100 feet of this building, they'll call the police immediately. He found me, Griffin. I don't know how, but he found me. Do you want to get a restraining order? I'll call my lawyer right now. We can have papers filed by this afternoon. Tasha thought about it. A restraining order felt official, serious, real. It meant admitting publicly that she needed legal protection from someone she'd once loved. But it also meant safety. Protection. A legal barrier between her and Derek. Yes, she decided. I want a restraining order. Okay. I'll set it up. Griffin stayed crouched in front of her, his presence solid and reassuring. Tasha, I'm so sorry that happened. I'm sorry he found you. I'm sorry you had to face him. It's not your fault. But I should have been there from the start. I was in my office. I should have been out there. You came when I needed you. That's what matters. Tasha managed a weak smile. Did you hear what I said to him? About you being everything he'll never be? I heard. It was incredibly brave. You stood up to him, Tasha. You didn't let him intimidate you. I wanted to run. I wanted to hide. But I kept thinking about what you told me. About how I'm not broken. About how I deserve respect. And I realized I wasn't going to let him make me feel small anymore. Griffin reached up and gently squeezed her hand. I'm proud of you. Those 4 words made tears finally spill down Tasha's cheeks. Thank you. For having my back. For not letting him hurt me. For being here. Always. I'll always have your back. Anthony knocked and entered without waiting for permission, bringing Rita and Lily with him. Lily immediately ran to Tasha and hugged her. Daddy called and said you needed me, Lily said. So Rita brought me from school. Tasha looked at Griffin questioningly and he shrugged. I thought you might want familiar faces around. Family. Family. The word settled over her like a warm blanket. That's what they were now, wasn't it? Griffin, Lily, Rita, even Anthony. They were her family, the people who showed up when she needed them, who protected her, who loved her. Thank you, she whispered. All of you. They spent the rest of the day in Griffin's office. His lawyer came by with restraining order paperwork, which Tasha filled out with shaking hands. Griffin called his security company and arranged for additional measures. Anthony ordered lunch delivery and made sure Tasha ate, even though she had no appetite. And Lily, sweet Lily, sat next to Tasha drawing pictures of rainbows and unicorns, her small presence a reminder that good things still existed in the world. By evening, Tasha was exhausted. The adrenaline crash left her hollow and shaky. Griffin drove them all home, his hand steady on her shoulder as they walked inside. You should rest, he said. I'll handle dinner, get Lily ready for bed, everything. You just take care of yourself. But Tasha didn't want to be alone. Can I stay with you guys? I don't want to be by myself right now. Of course. We were hoping you'd say that. They had an early dinner, simple and comforting. They watched a movie, some animated thing Lily picked, and Tasha sat between Griffin and Lily on the couch, feeling protected and safe. When Lily fell asleep against her shoulder, Griffin carefully carried his daughter to bed. When he returned, he found Tasha still on the couch, staring into space. Hey, he said softly, sitting beside her. Where'd you go? I was just thinking about how different this was from what I expected. When I saw Derek, I thought I'd fall apart. I thought I'd be that broken woman on the curb again. But I wasn't. I stood up to him. You did. You were amazing. Because of you. Because you've shown me what I deserve. What real love and respect look like. Griffin tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. You always deserved it. You just needed to remember. Thank you for calling Rita and bringing Lily. For understanding that I needed family around me. That's what we are now, right? Family? Yeah, Tasha said, leaning into him. That's what we are. They sat in comfortable silence, Griffin's arm around her shoulders, both of them processing the day. Derek had tried to pull her back into the darkness, but he'd failed. She was stronger now. She had people who loved her, who protected her, who saw her worth. Griffin. Tasha said after a while. Yeah. I love you. It was the first time she'd said it. The words hung in the air, precious and fragile. Griffin pulled back to look at her, his eyes shining. Yeah. Yeah. I love you. I think I have for a while now. I love you too, Tasha. So much. He kissed her then properly for the first time. It was gentle and sweet and full of promise. It was nothing like Derek's demanding kisses. It was respect and partnership and hope for the future. When they pulled apart, Tasha smiled through her tears. This is real, right? We're really doing this. As real as it gets. You and me. Building something together. And Lily. The 3 of us. It wasn't the traditional path to love. Most people didn't meet at their lowest point and build up from there. But maybe that made it stronger. Maybe starting from rock bottom meant the only direction to go was up. Derek had found her today, but he hadn't won. He'd lost. Because Tasha wasn't alone anymore. She had Griffin. She had Lily. She had a family who would fight for her. And that, she realized, was everything she needed. Tasha stood up to her abuser and chose her own worth. Stories like this remind us that healing is possible, and love can bloom even after trauma. If this story resonates with you, please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to make a brave choice to protect yourself? The week following Derek's appearance was tense. Tasha jumped at unexpected sounds. She looked over her shoulder constantly. Griffin had security escort her to and from her car each day, and Anthony made sure she was never alone in the building. But Derek didn't return. The restraining order was approved. Security had his photo and instructions to call police immediately if he appeared. Slowly, Tasha started to breathe easier. By Friday, she felt almost normal again. And that's when Griffin appeared at her desk with a reminder. "I believe I promised you a real date," he said, leaning against her desk with a smile. "Tomorrow night. If you're still interested." Tasha looked up from her computer. "After everything this week, you still want to go out? Especially after everything this week. You deserve something good. Something normal. Something that reminds you that life can be beautiful." "Where are we going?" "That's a surprise. Just dress nice. I'll pick you up at 7. You'll pick me up? We live in the same house. It's a real date, Tasha. That means I do it properly. I pick you up at your door, take you out, and bring you home at the end of the night." "That's ridiculous." "That's romantic. There's a difference." Saturday evening, Tasha stood in front of her closet, trying to decide what to wear. She'd been on dates before, obviously, but this felt different. This felt important. This was Griffin, the man who'd saved her, who'd given her a home and a job and hope. This was the man she loved. Finally, she chose a beautiful blue dress, fitted but not tight, elegant and sophisticated. She paired it with simple jewelry and took extra time with her hair and makeup. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. Not because she looked different, but because she looked happy. Genuinely, deeply happy. At precisely 7 o'clock, there was a knock on her bedroom door. She opened it to find Griffin standing there in a dark suit, holding a bouquet of flowers. "These are for you," he said, handing her the bouquet. "I know it's traditional to give flowers at the beginning of a date, and technically I could have just handed them to you at breakfast, but that felt wrong." Tasha laughed, accepting the flowers. They were beautiful, a mix of colors that reminded her of hope. "They're perfect. Thank you. You look stunning. You clean up pretty well yourself." They drove to a restaurant Tasha had never been to, an upscale place overlooking the city. The host greeted Griffin by name and led them to a table by the window with a spectacular view. "You come here often?" Tasha asked as they were seated. "Not anymore. Hannah and I used to come here for special occasions. But I thought it was time to make new memories here. Good ones." Tasha appreciated that he mentioned Hannah. He never tried to pretend his late wife hadn't existed or that she hadn't been important. His love for Hannah didn't diminish his growing feelings for Tasha. They could coexist. They ordered wine and dinner, and the conversation flowed easily. They talked about everything: Lily's upcoming recital, a challenging project at work, books they'd been reading, places they wanted to travel. "I've always wanted to see Paris," Tasha admitted. "The museums, the art, the history. It seems magical." "We should go," Griffin said. "When you're ready. You, me, and Lily. She'd love it. That's a serious trip. That's not just dating anymore. I'm serious about you, Tasha. I thought you knew that." "I do. But sometimes I still can't believe this is real. That you're real." Griffin reached across the table and took her hand. "I'm real. This is real. And I want a future with you. I want trips to Paris and family dinners and Monday mornings arguing over coffee. I want all of it. What if I'm not ready for all of that yet? Then we wait. But I want you to know my intentions. I'm not dating you casually. I'm dating you because I see a future and you're in it." Tasha felt tears prick her eyes. After Derek, who'd made her feel like she was lucky he tolerated her, Griffin made her feel cherished, valued, loved for exactly who she was. "I see a future too," she admitted. "It terrifies me, but I see it." "What terrifies you about it?" "Losing it. Getting it wrong. Not being enough." "You're already more than enough. And we'll figure things out together. That's what partnership means." Dinner was delicious, though Tasha barely tasted it. She was too focused on Griffin, on the way he looked at her like she was precious, on the way he listened when she talked, really listened instead of waiting for his turn to speak. After dinner, instead of going straight home, Griffin drove them to a small park by the river. String lights had been hung between trees, and a few other couples wandered the paths, enjoying the evening air. "Walk with me?" Griffin asked. They strolled along the river, hands linked, talking about nothing and everything. The city lights reflected on the water, and music drifted from a nearby restaurant. This is perfect, Tasha said. This whole night. Thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance. I know it wasn't easy after Derek. I know trusting someone again took courage. You made it easy. You've been patient and kind and everything I needed. Griffin stopped walking and turned to face her. Tasha, I want to tell you something. I want to tell you about Hannah, and why I think she'd be happy about us. You don't have to. I want to. Hannah was my best friend. We grew up together, fell in love young, built a life together. When she got pregnant with Lily, we were over the moon. We had plans, so many plans. Growing old together, watching our daughter grow up, maybe having more kids. His voice caught slightly. When she died, those plans died too. I thought I'd never love anyone again. Never want to. Lily needed me and that was enough. But Hannah always said life was for living, not just surviving. She made me promise if anything happened to her, that I wouldn't close myself off. That I'd find happiness again. Griffin cupped Tasha's face gently. I think she'd love you. I think she'd appreciate how good you are with Lily, how hard you've worked to rebuild yourself, how strong you are. And I think she'd be happy that I found someone who makes me want to really live again. Tasha's tears spilled over. I wish I could have met her. Me too. But you're honoring her memory by being here, by being part of our family, by helping me teach Lily that love doesn't end, it just transforms. I love you, Tasha whispered. I love you so much it scares me. Don't be scared. I've got you. He kissed her then, soft and sweet, with the river flowing beside them and the city lights twinkling around them. It was a moment Tasha knew she'd remember forever, the moment when she fully accepted that she deserved this happiness, this love, this future. When they pulled apart, they were both smiling through tears. Take me home, Tasha said. Our home. The drive back was comfortable and quiet, both of them processing the evening. When they arrived at the house, Griffin walked her to her bedroom door, just like he'd promised. Thank you for tonight, Tasha said. For the flowers and dinner and the walk and everything. Thank you for saying yes. For taking a chance on us. They stood in the hallway, neither wanting the night to end. Good night, Tasha. Good night, Griffin. He kissed her forehead, gentle and sweet, then turned to go to his own room. But Tasha caught his hand. Wait, she said. Don't go. Not yet. Griffin turned back, questioning. I'm not ready to move into your room yet, Tasha said carefully. But I'm also not ready for you to leave. Could we just sit and talk? Like we do most nights, but knowing this is different now. I'd like that. They ended up on the couch in the living room, Tasha curled against Griffin's side, his arm around her. They talked about the future, about dreams and hopes, about Lily and work and all the little things that make up a life. Over the following months, Tasha and Griffin's relationship deepened in ways that felt natural and right. They moved slowly, respecting Tasha's need for space while also acknowledging the growing bond between them. They went on dates, real ones where Griffin picked her up and brought her home. They had movie nights with Lily. They cooked together, laughed together, built a life together. Lily, perceptive as always, noticed the change immediately. Daddy's holding Tasha's hand more, she announced one morning at breakfast, her observation delivered with the casual directness only children possess. Griffin and Tasha exchanged glances, then smiled. Is that okay with you? Griffin asked his daughter. Lily considered this seriously, taking a bite of her pancake while she thought. Are you boyfriend and girlfriend now? Yes, Tasha said. If that's okay with you. Does that mean you're staying forever? I'm not going anywhere, sweetheart. Good. Lily returned to her pancakes, the matter settled in her mind. Emma will be so excited. I told her you were going to be my new mom eventually. Lily, Griffin said gently. That's a big jump. Tasha and I are taking things slowly. But you love each other, right? I can tell. You look at each other the same way you and Mommy used to look at each other in the old pictures. Griffin's expression softened. Yes, we love each other. Then you'll get married and Tasha will be my mom. That's how it works. Lily spoke with absolute certainty, as if she'd figured out a simple math problem. Relationships are a bit more complicated than that, Tasha said. Why do grown-ups always make things complicated? Lily sighed dramatically. You love each other. You live together. You're already like a family. Just make it official. After Lily left for school, Griffin and Tasha looked at each other over their coffee. She's not wrong, Griffin said. About which part? All of it. We do love each other. We do live together. We are already like a family. The only question is when we make it official. Tasha's heart raced. Is this? Not a proposal. Not yet. I know you need more time and that's fine. I'm just saying that Lily's right. This is where we're heading. And I'm happy about that. Are you? Tasha thought about the past 6 months. 6 months since that rainy night when Griffin had stopped his car. 6 months of healing, growing, learning to trust again. 6 months of falling in love with this kind man and his wonderful daughter. I'm happy, she said. I'm happier than I've been in years. Maybe ever. Good. That's all that matters. Work at Montgomery Enterprises continued to thrive. Tasha had become indispensable not just to Griffin but to the entire team. Anthony joked that she should be promoted to COO since she basically ran the place already. You laugh, but I'm serious, Anthony said during a lunch meeting. You've streamlined operations, improved client relations, and somehow keep Griffin organized. That's worth a significant raise at minimum. I'm fine with my current position, Tasha insisted. But are you challenged? Fulfilled? Or are you just comfortable? Was a good question. Tasha had been so focused on rebuilding her life that she hadn't thought much about where she wanted it to go. What were her actual goals? What did she want to achieve? That night she brought it up with Griffin. Anthony thinks I should want a promotion, she said as they cleaned up after dinner. Lily was upstairs doing homework and they had rare quiet time together. Do you want one? I don't know. Maybe? I love what I do now, but he's right that I could do more. I've been thinking about going back to school, finishing my degree. Maybe studying business management. Griffin turned to face her fully. That's a great idea. What stopped you before? Derek. He said college was a waste of money, that I didn't need a degree to be a hotel receptionist. Every time I brought it up, he found reasons why it was a bad idea. Well, Derek was wrong about everything, so his opinion is worthless. If you want to go back to school, you should absolutely do it. It would be a lot of work. Classes, studying, homework. And I'd still be working full-time. So, you're one of the most capable people I know. If anyone can handle it, you can. And I'll support you however you need. Want to cut back hours? Done. Need help with expenses? I've got it. Need someone to quiz you before exams? I'm your guy. Tasha felt tears prick her eyes. You'd really do all that? Tasha, your dreams matter. Your goals matter. Of course I'd support them. That's what partners do. Partners. The word filled her with warmth. Derek had been a controller, a manipulator, someone who made himself bigger by making her smaller. Griffin was a partner, someone who wanted to see her grow and succeed. Okay, she decided. I'm going to do it. I'm going to enroll for the spring semester. That's my girl. Griffin pulled her into a hug. I'm proud of you. The enrollment process was surprisingly easy. Tasha's previous credits transferred, meaning she only needed 2 more years to finish her business degree. She could take classes online, fitting them around her work schedule. Griffin's support never wavered. He celebrated when she was accepted, helped her pick classes, and bought her a new laptop for her studies. You didn't have to do this, Tasha said, looking at the expensive computer. I wanted to. Consider it an investment in your future. Our future. As fall turned to winter, their lives settled into a comfortable rhythm. Tasha worked, studied, and helped raise Lily. Griffin ran his company, supported Tasha's education, and made time for family. Lily thrived with 2 adults who loved her, her confidence growing as she saw healthy love modeled daily. They celebrated Thanksgiving together, a real family holiday. Rita cooked an enormous meal, and Anthony joined them with his girlfriend, a kind woman named Patricia. They went around the table saying what they were grateful for. I'm grateful for my family, Lily announced. All of it. Daddy and Tasha and Rita and Anthony and Patricia. I'm grateful for second chances, Griffin said, his eyes on Tasha. I'm grateful for kindness, Tasha said quietly. And for people who stop on rainy nights when they could keep driving. Griffin reached under the table and squeezed her hand. As winter settled in, they started talking more seriously about the future. Not just abstractly but concretely. What did they want? Where were they heading? I want you to move into my room, Griffin said one December evening. They were sitting by the fireplace, Lily asleep upstairs, the house quiet and peaceful. I know you wanted to wait and I've respected that. But it's been 6 months, Tasha. 6 months of dating while living under the same roof. I think we're ready. Tasha had been thinking the same thing. Keeping separate rooms had made sense at first, had given her the space she needed to heal. But lately she'd found herself wanting to fall asleep beside Griffin, to wake up next to him. Wanting to fully share a life, not just adjacent rooms. Okay, she said. Let's do it. Yeah, I'm ready. They moved her things the next weekend, Lily helping by carrying small items and offering advice on where everything should go. Tasha's clothes should go on this side of the closet, Lily instructed. Because Mommy's clothes used to be on that side and it's good luck. Griffin's eyes misted. That's very thoughtful, Lily. I asked Mommy's picture if it was okay that Tasha was here now, Lily said seriously. And I think she said yes. I felt it in my heart. Tasha knelt down to Lily's level. Your mommy will always be important to this family. Always. I'm not trying to replace her. I could never replace her. I know. But Daddy needs someone and I need a mom who's here. And you're here. So it works out. Out of the mouths of children, Tasha thought again. Such simple wisdom, such pure hearts. That night, falling asleep in Griffin's arms in their shared room, Tasha felt complete in a way she never had before. This was home. This was family. This was love, real love, the kind that built up instead of tearing down. I love you, Griffin whispered into the darkness. I love you too. I'm going to marry you someday, Tasha Reynolds. I hope you know that. I know. And I'm going to say yes. Promise. Promise. They fell asleep wrapped around each other, two broken people who'd found wholeness in each other, building a future one day at a time. Christmas was magical. They decorated the house together, bought a huge tree that Lily insisted was perfect. They baked cookies, watched holiday movies, and created traditions that would last a lifetime. On Christmas morning, Lily woke them at dawn, bouncing on the bed with excitement. Santa came. Santa came. Come see. They stumbled downstairs to find presents under the tree. Lily tore through hers with gleeful abandon, while Griffin and Tasha opened theirs more slowly, savoring the moment. Griffin had bought Tasha a beautiful necklace, delicate and elegant. She'd bought him a watch he'd been eyeing for months but claimed was too expensive. They'd both gotten Lily exactly what she wanted, plus a few surprises. This is the best Christmas ever, Lily announced, surrounded by wrapping paper and new toys. Because we're all together. The best Christmas ever, Griffin agreed, pulling both Lily and Tasha into a hug. As the new year approached, Tasha reflected on how much had changed. A year ago, she'd been trapped in an abusive relationship, isolated and miserable. Now she had a family who loved her, a job she excelled at, education she was pursuing, and a future that looked bright. All because one man had stopped on a rainy night. All because kindness existed in the world. All because she'd been brave enough to accept help when it was offered. What are you thinking about? Griffin asked, finding her standing by the window on New Year's Eve, watching snow fall softly outside. How lucky I am. How different my life is now. I'm the lucky one. You came into my life when I didn't even know I needed you. You made everything better, brighter, more complete. We saved each other, Tasha said. That's what I think. You saved me from that curb and I saved you from just going through the motions. Then we're even. No. I think I still owe you everything. Griffin turned her to face him. You owe me nothing. But if you want to give me something, give me forever. Give me a lifetime of nights like this, of family and love and building something beautiful together. That sounds perfect. They kissed as the clock struck midnight, as the new year began, as the future stretched out before them full of possibility and hope. Tasha had learned so much over these months. She'd learned that real love supports instead of controls. That healthy relationships build you up instead of tearing you down. That asking for help isn't weakness, it's strength. That sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes. She'd learned that she was worth loving, worth respecting, worth fighting for. And most importantly, she'd learned that happy endings weren't just for fairy tales. Sometimes they happened to broken people who found each other at exactly the right moment. Sometimes they happened when a stranger refused to drive past someone in need. Sometimes they happened when kindness met courage and created something beautiful. 6 months later, spring returned in full bloom. The same season when Tasha had first started healing, first started believing in happiness again. Now, a full year since that rainy night, she stood in Griffin's garden, coffee in hand, watching the world wake up. So much had happened. She'd finished her first year back in school with straight A's. She'd been promoted to Director of Operations at Montgomery Enterprises, a role she'd earned through competence and hard work. She'd fully integrated into Griffin's life, into Lily's life, into this family they'd built together. And today, though she didn't know it yet, everything was about to change again. Griffin found her in the garden, looking peaceful in the morning light. She wore one of his shirts over her pajama pants, her natural hair framing her face. She'd never looked more beautiful to him. Morning, he said, handing her fresh coffee. Sleep well. Always do when I'm next to you. They stood together in comfortable silence, a year of shared moments between them. Griffin thought about the ring hidden in his office desk drawer, The one he'd bought 2 months ago and been waiting for the perfect moment to give her. Today was that moment. "Tasha," he said, "I want to show you something. Take a drive with me?" "Now. It's Saturday morning. Lily will be up soon. Rita's got her. She knows we're going out. Please? It's important." Intrigued, Tasha agreed. They got dressed and drove into the city, Griffin refusing to answer her questions about where they were going. Finally, he pulled up to a familiar street corner. Tasha's breath caught. It was the place. The curb where she'd sat drunk and broken a year ago. The spot where her old life had ended and her new one had begun. "Why are we here?" she asked quietly. Griffin parked and came around to open her door. "Because this is where we started. Where I found you, where everything changed. And I wanted to come back here to this exact spot to show you how far we've come." They walked to the curb. It looked different in the daylight, just an ordinary street corner. No rain, no darkness, no desperation. Just sunlight and possibility. "A year ago," Griffin began, "I almost drove past you. I was tired, I wanted to get home to Lily, and I'd learned to not get involved in things that weren't my business. But something made me stop. Some instinct, some feeling, maybe Hannah pushing me from wherever she is. I stopped and you changed my life." "Griffin. Let me finish. You were at your lowest point and I was going through the motions of living without really living. We saved each other, Tasha. You make me laugh. You challenge me. You love my daughter like she's your own. You make our house a home. You make every single day better just by being in it." Griffin knelt down on one knee right there on the curb where he'd first found her and pulled out a small box. Tasha gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. "Tasha Reynolds," Griffin said, his voice thick with emotion. "I love you more than I thought I could ever love again. You've taught me that hearts can heal, that love doesn't end but transforms, that second chances are real. Will you marry me? Will you officially become Lily's mother and my wife? Will you spend the rest of your life building this beautiful future with us?" Tears streamed down Tasha's face. This spot, this exact spot where she'd hit rock bottom, was now the place where she was being offered everything she'd ever dreamed of. "Yes," she sobbed. "Yes, of course, yes." Griffin slipped the ring onto her finger, a beautiful diamond that caught the morning light. Then he stood and pulled her into his arms, kissing her while she cried happy tears. "I can't believe you brought me back here," Tasha said through her tears. "The worst moment of my life and you turned it into the best. That's the point. To show you that even our darkest moments can lead to light. That curb doesn't represent your failure. It represents your courage to leave, your strength to accept help, your bravery to start over. I love you so much. I love you too. Now come on, we have one more stop." They drove back to the house, where Tasha was surprised to find it full of people. Rita, Anthony and Patricia, even Tasha's mother who'd flown in from Florida. And Lily, wearing her favorite purple dress, holding flowers. "Surprise!" Lily shouted. "You're getting married." "You all knew?" Tasha asked, laughing through her tears. "Daddy asked me first," Lily said proudly. "Because you're going to be my mom, so I had to say yes first. And I did. I said yes a lot." Tasha knelt down and hugged Lily tight. "Thank you for saying yes. I promise to be the best mom I can be." "You already are," Lily said simply. They celebrated with champagne and breakfast, everyone offering congratulations and sharing their joy. Tasha's mother pulled her aside, her eyes misty. "I'm so happy for you, baby," she said. "This man, this family, they're good for you. You look like yourself again. Like the daughter I raised, confident and strong. I feel like myself again, Mama. For the first time in years. That's all a mother can ask for. That her child is happy and loved." The wedding was planned for 3 months later, a small ceremony in Griffin's garden with only close friends and family. Tasha chose a simple but elegant white dress, nothing like the elaborate gown Derek had once pressured her to pick out when he'd half-heartedly proposed years ago. Lily was the flower girl, taking her duties very seriously. Anthony was Griffin's best man. Tasha's mother gave her away, walking her down the makeshift aisle between rows of chairs. As Tasha walked toward Griffin, standing under an arch covered in flowers, she thought about the journey that had brought her here. The pain of Derek's abuse. The darkness of that rainy night. The fear and uncertainty of accepting Griffin's help. The slow process of healing and learning to trust again. Every step had been worth it to get to this moment. Griffin's eyes were wet as she reached him. The officiant began the ceremony, but Tasha barely heard the words. She was too focused on the man in front of her, the man who'd saved her, who'd loved her, who'd shown her what partnership really meant. "I do," she said when the moment came, her voice clear and strong. "I do, Griffin echoed. You may kiss the bride. Griffin pulled her close and kissed her softly, and everyone applauded. Lily cheered the loudest, jumping up and down with excitement. Ladies and gentlemen, the officiant announced, I present to you Mr. and Mrs. Griffin Montgomery. Mrs. Montgomery. Tasha Montgomery. A new name for a new life. The reception was perfect, filled with laughter and love. They danced, ate cake, took photos, and celebrated with everyone who'd supported them. When it was time for speeches, Anthony stood up with a grin. I've known Griffin for 15 years, he said. I watched him fall in love with Hannah, build a life with her, and then survive losing her. I watched him become a single dad, working hard to give Lily everything she needed while grieving privately. And I watched him slowly stop really living, just going through the motions for his daughter's sake. Anthony looked at Tasha. Then you came along. And suddenly Griffin was laughing again. Planning future trips. Excited about life. You brought him back to us, Tasha. And more importantly, you brought him back to himself. So thank you. Thank you for loving him, for loving Lily, for becoming part of this family. We're all better because you're here. Tasha wiped away tears as everyone raised their glasses in a toast. Later, as the sun began to set, Tasha found a quiet moment with Lily. How are you doing, sweetheart? She asked. Big day. Best day ever, Lily said. Now you're my mom for real. Like official. I felt like your mom for a while now. I know. But now everyone knows. Now it's permanent. Permanent? Tasha agreed. I'm not going anywhere, Lily. I promise you that. I know. That's why I wasn't worried when Daddy asked me if he could marry you. I knew you'd stay. As the evening wound down, Griffin and Tasha stood together, watching their guests dance and celebrate. Happy? Griffin asked. Beyond happy. This is everything I never knew I needed. I was thinking, Griffin said, about that night I found you. About how I almost drove past. About all the little choices that had to happen exactly right for us to end up here. Fate. Maybe. Or maybe just the universe rewarding us for choosing kindness. Me for stopping, you for accepting help. Maybe that's all it takes. Choose kindness and good things follow. Tasha thought about that. About how Griffin's choice to stop had saved her life. About how her choice to accept his help had led to this moment. About how every small act of kindness rippled out into the world, creating more kindness, more love, more hope. I used to think happy endings were fake, Tasha said. Something made up for movies and books. Real life was hard and painful and you just survived it. And now I know they're real. But they don't just happen. You have to choose them. You have to choose hope over despair. You have to choose to accept help when it's offered. You have to choose to love again even when you're scared. Happy endings are real, but they require courage. Griffin pulled her close. Then we're the bravest people I know. And we have the happy ending to prove it. As night fell completely, they danced together under the stars, husband and wife, surrounded by family and friends. Lily ran between them, giggling. Rita caught it all on camera. Anthony made terrible jokes that somehow everyone laughed at anyway. This was happiness. This was home. This was the life Tasha had built from the ashes of her old one. And it had all started with one man refusing to drive past someone in need. One act of kindness, one rainy night, one moment of choosing compassion over convenience. That was all it took to change everything. Years later, Tasha would tell this story to anyone who needed to hear it. To women in shelters leaving abusive relationships. To people at their breaking points. To anyone who'd lost hope. She'd tell them about the rainy night, about the kind stranger, about the slow process of healing and learning to trust again. She'd show them her scars and her strength, proof that both could exist together. She'd tell them that happy endings were possible. That kindness mattered. That accepting help wasn't weakness but wisdom. That love, real love, the kind that built instead of destroyed, was worth fighting for. She'd tell them to never give up. To keep hoping. To believe that somewhere out there, someone would stop their car and refuse to drive away. And she'd tell them that they were worth saving. Worth loving. Worth fighting for. Because if Tasha Reynolds, who'd once sat drunk and broken on a curb at 2 a.m., could find happiness, then anyone could. Hope, kindness, and love. These were the things that mattered. These were the things that changed lives. These were the things that led to happy endings.